This is Swati Bhaskaran, and I'm your lead faculty for the pregnancy course, Nurturing Your Baby During Pregnancy. And we welcome you to this video conference. And during this video conference, you will be able to discuss about marriage and consultation in marriage, and also about how your marriage supports your parenting. And I would like to introduce you Suzanne Alexander. She is a marriage coach, and she will be able to discuss with you any topic that you might want to bring up during this course of discussion. And we also have Chelsea here, and hopefully I think maybe Chelsea can introduce herself to you a little bit.
Yep, so I'm just helping run the course. My name is Chelsea Lee Smith, and I'm a parent educator. So we're really excited to share with you today and begin consulting on consultation. All right. So I think the first question we had was just a general, what is consultation?
It's really interesting because I used to think that consultation was just about making decisions for a group of people to sit around and share their thoughts and opinions and reach a decision. One of the things that I have learned is that it also has the vital function of building understanding. And I think that's a really important piece when it comes to marriage, so that when there is a topic that comes up in your relationship and you want to better understand what each other thinks about it and feels about it, consultation also helps to build understanding. And so it's an opportunity to share thoughts, to share feelings, and to come to unified understanding and unified decision making.
So Suzanne, how is a consultation in marriage different from a consultation in a committee meeting?
You can get formal in a marriage. I mean, you can sit there and have an agenda and all of that kind of thing, but it's not the norm, I don't think. What I love about consultation in marriage really is its informality. My husband and I will often sit over a meal, and a topic will come up and we'll share about it. Often it also happens in phases. Maybe at breakfast we start talking about something and we don't quite come to a conclusion, and then at dinner time we might say, are we ready to take a look at this again? Or it may even be a couple of days later. We'll have prayed together and maybe taken a look at some of the spiritual principles that apply to the topic and so on, and then it just naturally comes up again in our conversation and we reach a conclusion together. It's also something where every single possible topic is subject to consultation. And so we find that financial decisions and big things like large purchases, that sort of thing, has to be consulted about. But it's also small things. Tomorrow's my birthday, and so we consulted about, should we go out to dinner and where should we go and what time, and that sort of thing is also part of consultation in life. What are we going to do with the children? What's going to happen with our parents? Just absolutely everything is subject to consultation. One of the challenges, I think, in marriage consultations that doesn't happen quite as much in committee or local spiritual assembly consultations is sometimes we feel like there's a little bit more emotional stuff at stake, right? Sometimes the feelings are really close to the heart, and it may be a little easier to get attached to how we think something should go or the direction that the decision making should happen. And but it's a key difference in marriage that there's no majority vote. And so we have to work through the feelings and the thoughts, and sometimes pause and pray, and sometimes pause and reflect, and sometimes go away and come back again, all of those sorts of things, because we have to come to a unified decision. There's just the two of us most of the time. Once in a while we invite other people in, like a financial advisor, that kind of thing, but most of the time it's just us.
Mm-hmm. I think going through the quotations, I think we put just a few, of course there's so many in the writings about consultation in section 2 of unit 5, and really reading over those and thinking about consultation even within those little discussions is really helpful, which brings us to the next question, which is, what are the skills that help the quality of consultation, or the, personal qualities that a person should strive to have for consulting within marriage?
Yeah, and I think some of it's skills and some of it's qualities of character. Respect for me is a really key one, because it has us then in the mindset of being equal partners. That my voice is vital, his voice is vital. There's no sense of one or the other of us being more important or having more say in the topic than the other. If one of us has some level of expertise in a particular topic, then we might defer to each other, but we're still doing that as equal partners with a sense of collaboration. Right? We're a team. We're doing this together. And so communication skills are vital. Our ability to speak clearly, to identify what our feelings are and express them, the ability to carefully listen to each other and not try and overpower the other person with our words, or speak in a way that would be disrespectful to the other person. It's always a sense of being partners in the process. And I think it's important to recognize that consultation always is purposeful, right? It's not just chatting about this, that, and the other thing. It really is with the intent of understanding each other better, and often, very usually, to result in some sort of decision making. And then there's the ability to carry out the decision in unity, right? It's the to be able to wholeheartedly participate in whatever it is that the two of you have decided.
It's interesting you mentioned about the communication between the couple, the kind of words or the language you use when you talk. And I always wonder, like, does it make a difference when you are interracial or you're from another region where you can't really speak the same words or the language? And a lot of times you kind of want to say something, but then you end up with something else. And that causes more confusion.
Mm-hmm.
But it is interesting.
Yeah, cultural differences, what our facial expressions show, and cultural differences in expression, and gender differences in expressions, and can really affect the quality of what it is that's going on. Chelsea?
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, my husband and I both have parents of different cultures. So within our family, we have, 4 or 5 cultures that we're kind of going through. So it's definitely, I think, something that you have to be, have that personal insight into where your communication style is coming from, and also, observing how your partner is communicating and why, just getting curious about why they're saying it that way, or the word choice that they're using may not be intended the way you interpret it. So yeah, really being aware of those intricacies can be difficult, but is really rewarding. And I think over time, especially as you've been married a while, you do kind of learn to discuss those things and to not take offense when there are those moments of frustration or, you know, hurt.
Yeah, a question I always wonder also is, you know, how this marriage, the consultation can bring, can be useful for new parents. You know, what kind of, what benefit does it have, you know, for new parents?
Yeah, and there definitely, it makes a difference if you pause and remember to consult in all things. So it's everything from, do you breastfeed, you know, or do you use formula? What are the qualities that you want in the doctor or midwife or whomever is going to deliver the baby? What are the qualities that you want in a pediatrician? What are the spiritual qualities that you want to make sure you're practicing in the early days and weeks and months with the child? Often patience and and you know, giving each other the opportunity to support. Well, actually, I think one of the key things is, how do you support each other's well-being, so that you're consulting about, you know, do you need rest? Do I need rest? What are the things that you both need in the moment, so that you're both in the best position to support the child? And, you know, just to hold each other when the child has cried for 4 hours and you haven't a clue what it is that's that they're upset about or that's going on, so that you're you know, in mutual support mode is vital. So
yeah,
I think creative problem solving is probably a good phrase to use for those early days. I'm sorry, Chelsea.
Right. Oh yeah, I was just going to say that you're talking about problem solving and really observing the other people. So maybe it would be helpful to go over some of the signals in a marriage that consultation is needed. I know sometimes we can overlook the obvious things and just jump to conclusions or try to meet someone's need when you don't really know what they're needing. So what do you think are the signals people can look out for?
Yeah, certainly if there's any signs of conflict, it's an indication that it's time to consult about something, because consultation is designed to be the way that we address things and solve things so that we don't have conflict. So if there's conflict going on, it's certainly a warning sign. If there's any miscommunications happening where you find that you're getting short-tempered with each other, or you're really not connecting, I find often with couples, it's a good practice to simply say, let's take this to consultation, so that it's a very conscious, let's move into consultation mode, because then you start thinking about prayer and spiritual principles, and that this is something for us to work on together, and it takes it out of whatever upset or concern or that kind of thing is going on in the moment. So really, anytime things are not flowing smoothly, it's an indication that it's a good idea to consult, and really good to be tuned into, does the child need something different? You know, is there a growth change? Is there a change in circumstances? Has the mother gone back to work and the child is in daycare? Or you know, has something happened in the household or with the couple that is causing some sort of change with the child? And that's definitely wise to consult about.
So when you're consulting and you're arriving at a decision or trying to arrive at a decision, what are some important things to consider, during the decision-making process when you consult?
It's really, how do we do this in unity? How do we carry it out without undermining each other? How do we carry it out in full support of each other? And it's also important and very wise to check in with each other. Sometimes I see couples make a decision and they feel like, all right, we've made a decision. We have to just get it done. We just have to do it, even though circumstances change or there's learning along the way. And it's very wise to pause and check in with each other. Is this decision still working? How is it going? Is there anything we need to address? And so on, so that it's an organic process and not, an absolute process and an absolute, moment. Here's what we've decided. It's wise to to make sure that you're in learning and action as you go through.
So I guess, Swati, you're the most recent mother of all of us. So you just delivered a baby a few months ago, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So do you have any tips about how consultation has affected, how it can influence early parenthood?
Yeah, I think I just feel like we haven't had much time to, carve out for consultation. When we had the first child, we felt like we had more time. And then we had a second one, sometimes when we're talking, the kids have a question, or, we have to either wait or we have to ask them to wait. And now that we've had a, brand new baby, the needs and the feedings and the diaper changes, and it just feels like we haven't had much time to sit down and talk about our day, or, what are we, we've been trying to plan the spring break forever now, and it's in about 5 days, so we're still planning. We haven't had a chance to even think about it.
Right.
So, but one thing that has, really helped us is kind of we're trying to go to bed early and, just talk about our day and, plan the next day. So we take one at a time, one day at a time, and, think about what we want to do. And so that is planning, of course. And then we also talk about some things that we have to consult. We try to put it away for after the kids are in bed. So it doesn't kind of influence us in a way that we are trying to consult and we're not agreeing with something and we get frustrated, or, we just want to end the conversation. We feel like our day is not gonna end in a very good way if we start a consultation in between when the kids are awake or when we have things during the day. So we say, okay, let's talk after 6 or let's talk after 7, and then after dinner, after we've eaten. That's one suggestion from Suzanne. I think I read somewhere, or she told me, that have your food before you start consulting. So we try to have some tea or, calm down a little bit before we start a consult. So I think those are some things that have been helpful. But yeah, it's definitely affected our personal lives in a, to some great extent. Right. And we're trying to deal with it.
I can definitely relate to that. It just gets more, time poor the more kids you have, and the different levels of, their different stages allow you different time together. One thing that I found helpful, because my husband did a lot of shift work, so we just weren't around, like even if we wanted to consult at night, he was working or something. So we found that writing emails to get out, especially if I felt very strongly about something and, I couldn't express it at the time, I could at least write an email. So it at least made me feel a bit heard. And then he would know when he got home the next morning or whatever, what I had been thinking. So that was one thing that helped. And another thing that helped for us was recording the decisions, because sometimes we would consult on something and I would go away thinking we had decided something, and he would go away thinking that it was still kind of open, you know, and it probably depends on personalities about, you know, how people just interpret different consultations. So we have a running email now, which has probably been going for about 7 years, that has plans. This is referring to life plans and moves, because we move a lot and everyone's circumstances are different. But so we have, like, you know, a reply with the decisions, you know, which has been really helpful, just so that we both feel like we're on the same page with those big decisions. Of course, not small things, but yeah, so having it in writing and just being very clear about certain things has been helpful for us.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of the things some of the ways to really be interacting with each other when you are dealing with a brand new baby, and particularly when it's your first one? What are some of the things to make sure that you're paying attention to in supporting each other with consultation?
So I guess personally for me, I think really remembering that those physical realities of being very tired and, you know, very exhausted from breastfeeding and, you know, chasing a toddler around all day, realizing that that's going to influence your emotions and your emotional state, being able to make decisions, I think has been really helpful for me, just a reminder that it may feel very overwhelming right now, but some of it may be due to the physical circumstances. So that's been just a little helpful mind shift for me to be aware of.
I think also, like, just taking the time to, like, digest, you know, the whole thing. And for me, what has helped is just take little naps, you know, during the day before I end up talking or having a conversation. You know, suppose if I know that, okay, today we're going to make a big decision, or we're going to talk about something that is complicated, you know, about family or about, you know, extended family or any kind of things like that, I would kind of have a little tea, take
like building a house.
Yeah, like building a house, you know, that was another. So, you know, I would just take a little nap and then try to keep my brain a little bit clear, you know, at the end of the day. So that has helped me a little bit.
Yeah.
But sleep.
It's also probably worth mentioning that the hormones are just absolutely crazy during pregnancy and early parenthood, and even within the women's cycle. You know, we all have these different stages during the month that we go through of, you know, the hormone levels are all different. So really, my husband actually has in our calendar, because we share a Google Calendar, he has a week that says Pamper Week, which is, you know, during my cycle, you know, the week that I'm most emotional, so that he remembers, okay, she's might be a little bit, you know, needing a bit of gentle encouragement during that time, because it's real. And I think that, you know, we just expect ourselves to get up and, you know, just be pre-children, you know, have all that energy and, you know, a clear mind. But when you're dealing with all of the extra challenges of raising a family, you really do have to be gentle with yourself and recognize the different challenges that you're going through, and not be so hard on yourself. So
yeah, and that's where the building understanding part of consultation is important, because sometimes you just need your partner to listen to you while you process whatever emotions are coming up. One other thing, because Chelsea pointed to it, it's not always just conversation. There are small conversations. There are small consultations that happen by text message. There are ones that happen by email. Sometimes it's by video conference. You know, we have often people who are in other countries or who are traveling for business. Sometimes it's over the phone, sometimes it's by video, but we are in lots of different circumstances, and it's important to remember that sometimes we have to be creative. There are some couples, when an issue is highly charged, very emotional, and they're having challenges with it, where they can actually sit across from each other and write notes. You know, write down their thoughts and hand it over, give each other a chance to think about it and process what has been said. Because sometimes in a consultation, when things get really emotional, we might not fully hear each other, and that can give each other the opportunity to really make sure that the understanding has happened. And so it's important to think creatively. There are couples who do better when they are walking side by side, hand in hand, down a pathway, and not looking at each other. There are other couples who do better when they are face to face and eye to eye. Some couples do better when they're driving side by side in a car. So it's really one of the benefits, I think, of consultation in marriage that's different than a committee meeting is it's very flexible. Sometimes you're sitting over a meal, sometimes it's sitting side by side on a couch, sometimes you're laying in bed. You know, it's very fluid, and important that if it's not going smoothly in one way, to try a different way, or to pause and pray, pause and take a break, sleep on it overnight, whatever it is that you need to do, because you do have that flexibility as a couple in marriage, and it's a gift.
All right, well, thank you, everyone. And I hope the participants listening got some little gems of wisdom to take home.